Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another speedrun interview. This? I've just been practicing some blindfolded speedruns. Anyways, today I'm interviewing another speedrunner from the Hobbit Speedrunning community. Today I'm interviewing Chrixiam. Alright, now let's get started. Why did you start speedrunning?
So this one's actually a really interesting story that goes back all the way to before I was even in middle school. I used to go over to my grandma's house and play video games over there when I went over there because my aunts and uncles who were still living there had a bunch of video games and consoles over there. And one day I went over there and they didn't want to put in like any super mature games or anything because they had like Halo and stuff like that, but they didn't want to have me play any of those because I was still pretty young. So they put in this game called The Hobbit for the Xbox because they told me that it was a game where I could walk around and talk to people. And I got to about Overhill and Underhill in that game. I got to the point where there is a bridge that falls in front of you, and for some reason I was convinced I had to somehow make it across the bridge, but I never could, and I somehow didn't realize that I could just literally turn left and enter the tunnel. So then, I figured out from watching videos on YouTube of the game that there was a tunnel there that you could just turn left and go into. And after that, I decided that I wanted to get the game for myself because I wanted to actually finish it. So fast forward a couple years, and my dad got me The Hobbit for PC for Christmas, I believe it was. It might have been my birthday, but I think it was Christmas. I got The Hobbit for PC, and I ended up finishing the game in a couple months, and it became actually one of my favorite video games to the point that I played it pretty consistently. I finished it several times, and I ended up actually finding a bunch of cool glitches and stuff in the game, and I started trying to find glitches to try to minimize the score in the video game, like get the lowest possible score that I could in terms of how many items I was collecting and stuff. And because I was doing that, I would go on YouTube and I would find other glitches that other people had uploaded to see what kind of stuff other people had found that could possibly help me lower my score. And in the process of that, I believe it was my second year of high school that I came across MK's 4227 completely by accident. Obviously, he was known as iRule back then, but the 4227 was the world record at that time. I came across it, and I had seen some speedruns before of like Super Mario 64 and stuff like that, but I think the 4227, when I actually sat down and watched that was really the big wow, this is actually something that I could do moment. So that was when I started really speedrunning myself. I messed around on the PC version first, and then eventually I got my hands on a GameCube copy, and I really started speedrunning that one, and that's kind of what I've stuck with ever since then.
What games are you currently speedrunning, and what games do you plan on speedrunning in the future?
So the only game that I've really stuck with consistently is Hobbit for GameCube. Like I said in the previous question, I first speedran The Hobbit for PC, but once I got the GameCube version, I pretty much completely switched over to that version. I kind of lost interest in running the PC version. I have dabbled in a couple of other games. My main other two are, occasionally I will speedrun the text adventure game Hobbit, The Hobbit from 1982 for the ZX Spectrum, and occasionally I will speedrun this old PC software education game called Reader Rabbit's Math Ages 6 to 9. But those are pretty much the only ones that I consider myself an active speedrunner in. As for games that I plan on learning, I promised another runner named Zojulix that I would eventually learn The Two Towers. That's a game that he's been trying to talk me into running for a while, and I actually have a copy of the GameCube version, so I'm planning on learning that one eventually. And I also have this game called Tak and the Power of Juju which I'm planning on learning to run at some point with a runner named Jigsaw Master. But those are really the only two other games I plan on learning.
What glitches, skips, and or tricks would you say has been the easiest and also the hardest for you to perform?
Funny you should ask that question, actually, because several years ago in our old Hobbit Discord, I actually half-jokingly made a poll asking the entire community what they considered the easiest and hardest tricks in the game. I believe this was before the crazy inside info skip was found that we use now. And I believe back then the general consensus was that warm welcome save jump was the hardest trick in the game. Which, I mean, I kind of have to agree with that one because I've always struggled with the warm welcome save jump. Although I would say now that that's not part of the any percent route anymore, I probably actually have more trouble with the inside info skip. Although I can't even say that anymore because the new inside info skip setup has been found since then, which I haven't really gotten the chance to use in runs because I haven't gotten a run that far. I don't so much have any trouble with single tricks that often. What I have trouble with is stringing all of these single tricks together to get a full run that is up to my standards, because if you've watched my streams, you know I reset a lot over just small nitpicky things. And I'm aware of that, and I'm aware that it's probably something that I shouldn't do, but I don't really care, because I have trouble keeping a run if the run is bad or if the run has mistakes. I just have a lot of mental trouble focusing at that point. I'd rather be able to focus on the run, even if it means I get a lot fewer runs to a later point, because it's just less mentally strenuous on me. And I know that's going to be different for anyone who you talk to, but for me, I don't know, that's just the way it works.
Are there any games that you were shocked to see other speedrun?
I'm not surprised to see anybody speedrun anything anymore, ever. I mean, one of the first things I do if I find a video game that I really enjoy either playing or watching now is I almost immediately go to either speedrun.com or YouTube, and I search up speedruns of the game just to see what kind of wacky shenanigans. I don't even search to see if someone has speedrun it, because I kind of just assume that everyone's speedrun everything at this point. I always go to try to see what kind of stuff they've come up with in the game, because it does, like I said, it doesn't shock me to see anyone speedrun anything, but it shocks me to see certain things that people have found for games. Like, if you watch, for example, the VVVVVV glitch speedruns, and you see some of the stuff that they do in that game with, like, the warps and stuff, it's crazy, and I don't know how they found any of that stuff. And I think VVVVVV is actually the best example, because that happens to be my favorite video game, and also one of my favorite speedruns to watch. And it's also a really good example of seeing some of the stuff that they've found for RTA speedruns versus for TASs, because the TASs of that game, especially the most recent TAS that came out like 2 weeks ago, are just wild, and I cannot watch them without starting to laugh at just how crazy any of the stuff that they're doing in there is.
What is your biggest goal for speedrunning?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have a whole lot of goals anymore for speedrunning. At this point, I think I've hit all of my time goals except for maybe sub 27 in NMG for Hobbit GameCube. And maybe I could push all quests down to a 105. But honestly, whenever I beat one of my time goals, I just immediately come up with another time goal anyway. I stopped setting time goals for myself a couple years ago. Instead of having time goals for my speedruns, I more have optimization goals. Like, I want to get a perfect run with these strats, and then once I do that, then I add new strats on, and I say, okay, now I want to get a near perfect run with these strats. Those are really the kinds of goals I set for myself as opposed to time goals. But even for those kinds of things, at this point, I don't really have those kinds of goals anymore. I kind of just speedrun for fun. I've moved on to doing other things like writing music. By the way, youtube.com/@cmwestland. But, yeah, I don't know. Speedrunning is kind of just a fun thing for me now, more than a thing that I do to hit a certain goal or achievement.
Alright, Chrix, thank you so much for being a part of my series, and I really loved your backstory about getting into The Hobbit. Honestly, I think it was pretty cool how you got into The Hobbit, and, like, I definitely think it was an amazing choice for you, like, for the world of speedrunning. Oh my god, I so cannot wait to see what kind of stuff you will accomplish in the future with speedrunning. But alright everybody, if you guys would like to check out Chrixiam, I'll leave a link to his Twitch and his YouTube in the description down below. But alright, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, speedrun hitting that like button as fast as possible. And if you want to see more speedrun related content, click that subscribe button, turn get gray. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye guys.